Hey guys, I was having some trouble finding a good video for today's assignment, so I'm going to make my own. The rest of the assignments this week, I found some pretty good videos for Khan Academy, so you might look at those. Usually the first video is like explaining it, and the second video is it's actually like a little practice where you get to try and see if you understand it. And they'll tell you if you got it right, so you can know if you're doing it right or not. But they're a little more straightforward. This one's a little bit weird. So I'm doing page 594, 1 through 24. I'm going to just go through the odds with you guys to make sure that you know how to do it, and I'm going to jump in here. So they're talking about polynomials. A polynomial might look something like that. Okay, each of these things is a term. So this is a three-term polynomial. So each term can have like a number and some variables. Like I could add maybe a y, or you can have some letters on it, but they're separated by pluses and minuses. This last term, a 1, could be thought of as a negative 1 because there's a minus in front. It doesn't really matter, but anyway, poly just means many, so it's many terms. It doesn't have to have three terms. It can have one term, like a 5 by itself. You could say that's a polynomial. It could have 100 terms, okay? But basically it just has a number with letters kind of all multiplied together. That makes one term. And if you add a bunch of them together, that makes a polynomial. A polynomial with one term is called a monomial. Mono means one. If it has two terms, it's called a binomial. Three terms is called a trinomial. And if it has four or more terms, it's called there's no name for it, so we just say it's an other polynomial. So they only named the first three. So this one that I put on the board would be a trinomial. 1, 2, 3. The pluses and minuses separate the terms. Another thing they're going to talk about is degree, which kind of means power. So it has to do with the exponents. If you look at the powers on the first term, so don't worry about the numbers on this. The powers for the x is 2. The power for the y, if they don't put a number on the y, that implies it's like a 1. It's the same as being a 1. So for the first term, if you put all the powers together, 2 plus 1, that's a 3. The second term, the power, there's no number up there, so that's like a 1. And the third term doesn't have an x or y or anything at all. So it's got like a 0 power. So it's 0. So we would say the degree of this polynomial is 3. Okay, so what you do is you find the term with the most powers and you use that. So I didn't even include this 1 didn't help at all. So I just used the term with the highest power, which they usually put in front, is 3, and that's what they call the degree of the polynomial. So this is a trinomial with a degree of 3. So we'll do a few more examples on the problems. Let's go ahead and jump in. Actually, there's one more thing I need to talk about. What makes it not a polynomial? There's only a couple things we need to look out for. Okay, this is a polynomial. This is not a polynomial. So if you ever have x or y in the denominator, any variable in the denominator, it's no longer a polynomial, because that's whoever decided just said that's how it is. So this is not a polynomial. If I do this, that is still a polynomial. Okay, if it's like 4/3 x, that's okay. So you just can't have x or y in the denominator. Another problem would be this. Okay, negative exponent, that actually means y is like being in the denominator. So negative exponents are no-nos also. So this is not a polynomial. Everything else, let's actually, okay, no negative exponents, also no fraction exponents, that's a no-no. So we haven't even seen that, so I don't think they should have put it on this lesson, but you can't do that. All right, so jumping in, number 1, they're asking, are the following polynomials, yes or no? If no, you got to say why not. What do you guys think? Is number 1 a polynomial? Yes, it is. There's no problem. 7x to the 5th minus 4x to the 3rd. No problems with that. That's just 2 terms. There's no problems. So 1 is yes. The end. Okay, number 3. Is 3 a polynomial? What do you guys think? Well, 3 has a problem, and that is that there's an x in the denominator. So I'm just going to put no, it's not a polynomial because they want a y if you say no. Variable is in the denominator. Okay. Number 5. Is there a problem with number 5? Yeah, there's a problem. Polynomials cannot have negative exponents because that basically puts the variable in the denominator. So on 5, the answer is no. Negative exponent. That's the no-no. Okay, number 7. 7. Does 7 have a problem? Yeah, it has a problem. It is not a polynomial because I was going to put no fraction exponents. Let's has a fraction exponent. Okay, number 9. Does number 9 have a problem? Well, number 9 has a fraction, but the 8 is in the denominator, but it's not a variable in the denominator. So number 9 is okay. It's basically like 5/8 x. So 9's good to go. So all we have to do for that is just put, yeah, it's good. It is a polynomial. Number 11. Okay, we're on a new section here. They're asking 2 questions. Give the degree, that means the power thing I talked about earlier, and state the type of identify the type of polynomial by special name. That I erased that, but earlier I wrote down monomial, binomial, trinomial, or other polynomial. So if it's more than 4 terms, we're just going to write polynomial. Okay, let's start with the degree, I guess. On 11 it says 3x plus 4y. Okay, what is the power on the first term? Well, there's no number up here, so that means it's like a 1. Okay, same over here. No number up here, so that's like a 1. So the power on the first term is a 1. The power on the second term is a 1. So the degree of the polynomial, use the biggest, is 1. So on number 11, the first answer, write it in fancy form, is a 1. Okay, the second answer is what kind of polynomial is it? How many terms does it have? It has 1, 2 terms. What's that called with 2? 2 wheels. It's called a bicycle. This is called a binomial. They're all like monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial. Okay, 13. 13 says 7x squared minus 9x plus 4. Okay, what's the power on the first term? Usually if they put it in the normal order, the first term is going to have the highest power, and so that's going to be the degree of the polynomial. So x is to the second power, this one is to the first power, this one is 2. The 0 power, because there's no x out here, so that's like nothing. 0 power. So the second power is the biggest, so the degree is 2. And then what kind of polynomial is it? It's got 1, 2, 3 terms. How do we say 3? Trinomial. Like a tricycle? Triceratops. Okay. Anyway, let's erase that and go to 15. All right, 15 says x squared over 5 minus 3x. All right, let's start with the power. It doesn't matter that there's a 5. Oops. Camera's all over the place. It doesn't matter that there's a 5 down there. Okay. X squared, so the power is 2. X, nothing, so the power is 1. Okay, so we're going to use the biggest for the degree. The degree of the polynomial is 2. So I'm going to put 2, comma. What kind of polynomial is it? How many terms does it have? 1 term, 2 terms. 2 terms is called a binomial. Okay, number 17, 4x cubed plus x plus 1. All right. Okay, what's the power on the first term? 3. What's the power on the second term? 1. What's the power on the last term? Nothing, 0. So the degree of the polynomial is 3. And what kind of polynomial is it? 1, 2, 3 terms is a trinomial. Okay, this was 15. This is 19. I don't know if you're going to fit on the camera. All right, 19 is 8x cubed y squared plus y plus 1. Okay, what is the power of the first term? You put all the powers together, so it's 3 and 2, 5. What's the power in the second term? 1. What's the power in the last term? 0. So the degree of the polynomial is 5. Okay, and what kind of polynomial is it? It has 1, 2, 3 terms, so it is, again, a trinomial. All right, number 20 is an even, but it's got 4 terms. So 4 was not on our list of named polynomials. So all you have to do for that one after you write the power is just write polynomial. Okay, so it's you write the degree, which is the largest power, and then write polynomial. All right, 21 and 23 will be our last. It says just give the degree and then that's it. So it's kind of the same thing. It's a little bit messier, but it's the same idea. Okay, 21. What is the power on the first term? If you're looking in your books, it says 4x cubed. So the power is 3. And it goes 2, 1, 0. So the biggest power on that 21 is 3. So the degree for 21 is just 3. And then that's it. Okay, 23 is a little tricky. I don't know. You guys get it? Okay, this is a polynomial. It's 1 term. It's a monomial. It's all hooked together, all multiplied together. What is its degree? So we're going to add all the powers together. I got all the exponents together, same thing as powers. I got a 2, a 4, and a 1. Okay, don't forget, that's worth 1. So all together I have 2 plus 4 plus 1 is 7. So the degree on 23 is 7. All right, that is it. So kind of a nice short little lesson today. Hopefully it doesn't, if geometry confused you, hopefully this chapter is more straightforward for you. Good luck and email me if you guys have any problems.